Okay, the House will come to order. Please join Representative Basenecker in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Members, please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Gregorio, please call the roll.
Representative Zamabile. Bacon. Representative Bacon. Representative Bacon is excused. Baisley. Benavidez. Representative Benavidez. Representative Benavidez is excused. Burnett. Byrd. Representative Byrd. Representative Byrd is excused. Bockenfeld. Basenecker. Bradfield. Caraveo. Carver. Catlin. Cutter. Representative Cutter. Representative Cutter is excused. Doherty. Duran. Escar. Exum. Froelich.
You have our tribute, right?
Representative Froelich. Representative Froelich is excused. Geithner. Gonzalez Gutierrez. Gray. Representative Gray. Representative Gray is excused. Hanks. Herod. Representative Herod. Representative Herod is excused. Holtorf. Hooten. Jackson. Judah. Kennedy. Kipp. Larson. Montine. Representative Lontine. Representative Lontine is excused. Luck. Lynch. McCluskey. McCormick. McKean. McLaughlin. Representative McLaughlin is excused. Michelson Janae. Mullica. Neville. Ortiz. Representative Ortiz. Representative Ortiz is excused. Pelton. Pico. Ransom. Rich. Ricks. Roberts. Sandridge. Sirota. Snyder. Soper. Representative Soper. Representative Soper is excused. Sullivan. Tipper. Titone. Valdez A. Valdez D. Van Bever. Van Winkle. Weissman. Will. Williams. Woodrow. Woog. Young. And Mr. Speaker.
I'm here. I was running.
With I think it was 7, right? With 58 present, 7 excused, we have a quorum. Representative Basenecker.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the Journal of Friday, April 30, 2021 be approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk.
Members, you have heard the motion, I think the first motion made by Representative Basenecker, that the journal be approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. Wow. Representative Basenecker, the body is not in favor of your first motion. However, I am, and I heard those ayes, and the ayes have it, and the motion is approved. Announcements and introductions. Members, we have a tribute. Representative Geithner.
You have a copy of it, right?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And members, there's a couple of us that are on this tribute. If you could join me in the well for Teacher Appreciation Week, I would appreciate that. And then if I request that we have the tribute read at length, please.
State of Colorado, the House of Representatives convened in the 73rd General Assembly hereby extends sincere recognition and honor to Teacher Appreciation Week. In Colorado and across the country, teachers open children's minds to new ideas, knowledge, and aspirations, and can profoundly influence their students long after the student school days are over. Classroom teachers are the most important in-school factor for student academic success. Teachers advance our American Republic by laying a foundation for good citizenship. In addition to installing wisdom, teachers fill a variety of roles in students' lives, including role model, mentor, listener, and motivator. Their hard work and efforts aid in creating the leaders of tomorrow. We continue to honor and acknowledge the lasting contribution that teachers have made to our lives. The House of Representatives recognizes and expresses our appreciation to Colorado teachers for their work and dedication and encourages all Coloradans to continue to support those who educate our state's future generations. On request of Representatives Tim Geithner, Mark Baisley, Mary Bradfield, Yadira Caraveo, Lisa Cutter, Tony Exum, Kathy Kipp, Colin Larson, Stephanie Luck, Barbara McLaughlin, Daphne Michelson-Janae, Tanya Van Deber, and Mary Young, given this third day of May, 2021, State Capitol, Denver.
Mr. Assistant Minority Leader Geithner.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And members, please feel free to take a seat. We just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the role that teachers play in the lives of not just our students, but certainly even in the lives, I think, in each and every one of us. I won't belabor a lot of comments here because I think that there are probably a few of us that have some comments to make. But being on Education Committee, I felt that it was necessary that we pay tribute to the role of teachers and the impact that they have. I have one specific teacher that stood out in my life in high school. I used to, believe it or not, be in chorus, and I was actually in show choir for a number of years. And Mr. Weatherspoon had a huge impact on my life to the point that we still stay in touch today. And I graduated over 25 years ago now, I think. But to Mr. Weatherspoon, to all the teachers out there, just wanted to convey our sense of gratitude for what you do and to say thank you very much for everything that you do for our students and the impact that you have on lives.
Representative Michelson-Janae.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Mr. Minority Leader, for bringing us all together on this amazing tribute. I want to just say thank you to Mrs. Joyce Yanka, who was my English teacher, and she is now my Facebook friend, so she's constantly commenting on all of my posts, and she sends me contributions. It's like the most amazing thing. So bless you, Mrs. Yanka, and you taught me well.
Representative Young.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to Representative Geithner for bringing this forward. As a special education teacher for 19 years in public schools and having worked over 40 years in public schools, I also want to give a tribute to Mr. Flanagan, who was my social studies teacher who prepared me for being in this august body. Thank you.
Representative Baisley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yeah, and for me, it was Christopher Cox, a teacher and the one who prepared me for, actually incited my involvement in this process today, Father Donald. Thank you, Father Donald.
Representative Froelich.
Thank you very much. Shout out to Mrs. Hughes, my high school history teacher, and convinced me to be a classroom high school history teacher myself, although it's called social studies, so I'm dating myself, and a college teaching assistant.
Representative Bradfield.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was a middle school teacher for over 20 years, like close to 25, and I think middle school teachers need to get a big thank you. That's a rough age. However, it's also the best age. Those that age, they're still enthusiastic, and I want to thank everyone for this recognition today. Sometimes teachers work hard, but nobody sees the work except the kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Bradfield. Representative Cutter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Mr. Assistant Minority Leader, for conducting this tribute and allowing us all to sign on. I'm no longer on the Education Committee, but I'm so happy to honor teachers. Teachers are everything. I grew up in Jefferson County Schools. Shout out to Mrs. Robertson, my 3rd and 4th grade teacher, or 4th and 5th grade teacher, and to Mr. Smiley in high school, and my kids' teachers are still good friends today, Ms. O'Hare and so many others. Thank you so much for all you do. We appreciate you.
Representative Will.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to know how many years that Rep. Cutter was in the 3rd grade?
Representative Judah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am going to selfishly do a shout out to Mrs. Judah, who taught at DPS and taught at the Colorado Muslim Society for over 35 years and has countless hundreds of students as her alumni, and inspired me to start my own educational nonprofit to teach and to yield the minds of very young people. So thank you.
Representative Soper.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I have to do a shout out, first of all, to my mother, who was a teacher at Lincoln Elementary in Delta for 40 years in the same classroom. And at one point in time in Delta, whether it was my great aunt or my other great aunt, but they had been teachers from 1924 all the way through 2014. So pretty incredible. Teachers are the lifeblood of Colorado. They inspire and teach the next generation, and we can't salute them enough. So thank you.
Representative Kipp.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And members, I just want to say this has really been a hard year for everybody, but it's really been an extraordinarily difficult year for teachers. Teachers have had to roll with the punches. They've taught both online and in person, sometimes at the same time. They've had to spend extraordinary numbers of hours just trying to keep up. So if you see a teacher, thank them, because they are doing extraordinary work this year.
Representative Larson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So rather than singling out one of my teachers, because I don't want to offend any of them, I do want to give a shout out to a former employee of mine, Noah Newman, who recently completed his teaching certificate up at CSU, completed his teaching year, and unfortunately will be leaving the state and teaching in Washington State, but he is a new teacher entering the system, and hopefully we can help get more kids interested in entering that career field.
Representative Byrd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And members, I remember the names of every single one of my teachers, even in elementary school. Mrs. Love, Mrs. Monday, Mrs. Meckley, Mrs. Winchell, Mrs. Hudson, and Mrs. Hawkins. And I am so grateful that these incredible professionals were part of my village. As we know, we say that it takes a village to raise our children, and I couldn't be more grateful for the teachers who were part of my village, and I'm so grateful for the teachers who remain that crucial village for so many kids today.
Representative Van Beber.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I also rise in support of this tribute. As a teacher who's been in middle school also for nearly 2 decades, I have to say it was the best age to teach, and my hat's off to all elementary school teachers and to all high school teachers, because you have the patience of Job. We had it easy. So, but I also want to say thank you to my first teachers, and thank you to all of the parents out there who became your children's first teachers. You were the most important people who taught the most important lessons in life, and we would be remiss if we did not reach out to all families and to all people who instruct children at every level of their life. I would also like to read a quick poem because this will speak to the heart of every person who's ever been a teacher. There's a gentleman who has a dinner party with a bunch of individuals, and one of those individuals is the CEO of a company. And he says, you know, the problem with teachers is, what's a kid going to learn from someone who decided his best option in life was to become a teacher? He reminds the other dinner guests that it's true what they say about teachers. Those who can do, those who can't teach. And I have heard this from individuals. I decided to bite my tongue instead of his and then resist the temptation to remind him and the other dinner guests that it's also true what they say about lawyers, but because we're eating, after all, this is polite conversation. I mean, you're a teacher, Taylor. Be honest. What difference do you make? And I wish he hadn't done that. Ask me to be honest, because you see, I have this policy about honesty. And if you ask for it, then I have to let you have it. You want to know what I make? I make kids work harder than they ever thought they could. I make a C+ feel like a Congressional Medal of Honor, and an A- feel like a slap in the face. How dare you waste my time with anything less than your best? I make kids sit through 40 minutes of study hall in absolute silence. No, you may not work in groups. Why won't I let you go to the bathroom? Because you're bored. And you really don't have to go to the bathroom, do you? I make parents tremble in fear when I call home. Hi, this is Mrs. Van Beber. I hope I haven't called you at a bad time. I just wanted to talk to you about something your son said today. To the biggest bully in the grade, he said, "Leave the kid alone. I still cry sometimes, don't you? It's no big deal." And that was the noblest act of courage I have ever seen. I make parents see their children for who they are and what they can be. You want to know what I make? I make kids wonder. I make them question. I make them criticize. I make them apologize and mean it. I make them write. I make them read. 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 I make them spell definitely beautiful, definitely beautiful, definitely beautiful, over and over again until they never misspell either one of those words again. I make them show all of their work in math and hide it in their final drafts in English. I make them understand that if you've got this, then you follow this. And if someone ever tries to judge you by what you make, then you give them this. Here, let me break it down for you so you know what I say is true. Teachers make a difference. Now, how about you?
Thank you, Representative Van Beber. Representative Burnett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you ever wonder about the transformational power of teachers, especially in early education, I have to give a great shout out to my 5th grade teacher, Mr. Ames, who wrote on my report card, "Tracy is shy." He made me take a lead role as Becky in a Tom Sawyer play, and look at me now, Mr. Ames. Thank you.
Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Esteemed colleagues, what a great day and what a great tribute. I want to talk a little bit about what it's like in a small school in a farm town called Akron, and a teacher named Mr. Charles Johnson. He was our FFA advisor and our vocational agriculture teacher. Later, because of his skill and acumen, he became the principal and followed that by the superintendent for many years. But I'll tell you, this gentleman impacted every kid's life that was a farm kid that went through our school. He introduced us to things in FFA like public speaking through the creed speaking contest. Also parliamentary procedure and a parliamentary procedure contest that is held every year in this state, in the state FFA convention, to pick a state champion. He also introduced to things called livestock judging, which is very competitive. And if you're from rural Colorado or anywhere in rural America, meat judging, livestock judging is a very competitive sport. And you have to explain your reasons of your selection. And those judges have to agree with you or you will not be the reigning champion in that particular competition. I would also like to say that in rural Colorado, just like in urban Colorado, those teachers touch your life forever. And Charles Johnson is no longer with us. He was a great American. He was a great teacher. He was a great community leader. He was a mentor to so many and a mentor to me. Now I'm going to tell a little story that's come to surprise to all of you. For those kids that were honorary in class, he had what's called the milk stool. Now, how many of you have milked a cow? By show of hands, just raise your hand if you've milked a cow. It doesn't have to be this year. Okay. So some of us had that pleasure. Well, you got to get down there on a little stool, and you got to get under there, and you got to start milking. Well, his particular stool was unique because most stools have 3 or 4 legs, right? His only had 1. And at the bottom of that stool, he had put a marble. He glued a marble at the bottom of that stool as he tapered that point down to a very unique surface. Well, for those of us that were honoring class, and I know this is going to come as a surprise that I actually had to sit on that stool. I know that you won't believe it, but I think I sat on that stool more than any other kid in that class, and I'll tell you why. Because in our FFA classroom, not anymore because they rebuilt the school, I sat on that stool so much that I actually wore a hole in the floor from that single marble. And you know what? He tried to mold me and guide me, and imagine if he wouldn't have given me those classes. What would I be today? So thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for your time, and I'm sure glad for Charles Johnson and that one-legged stool.
Representative Exum.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Shout out to Mr. Hollingsworth and to all the teachers. Thank you for showing us kindness, gentleness, and most of all, unconditional love when we didn't deserve it. Thank you.
Further comments on the tribute? Seeing none. Any further announcements or introductions? Representative Duran.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can everybody come down for the Capitol Choir? Don't leave. We had a birthday over the weekend. Where's the birthday girl? Representative Amable. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Representative Amable. Happy birthday to you.
Happy belated birthday. Representative Michelson Janae. And Representative Amable.
So just very briefly, I wanted to say that today is the first day of Mental Health Month. May is Mental Health Month. And why should you all care about Mental Health Month? It affects a huge amount of our citizens, and we are all paying the price for not having done a good job of caring for people with mental illness. And I feel like this is the year where we're going to make transformational change and do some things to improve our system of mental health care. So I thank you all for supporting me in that effort.
Representative Michelson Janae.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And members, what we would ask of you is all of us send out newsletters. If you might consider in your newsletters this month sometime, please sharing the name of your local community behavioral health center for your constituents so they know where they can get help when they need it. We know that our mental health challenges and our behavioral health challenges, which include substance use disorder, are through the roof this year. But we can make a difference, and it just takes each of us to talk to our communities about where they can get help and when they can get help. And if you don't know where the Community Behavioral Health Center is in your district, please come find me, and I'll help you find it.
Representative Pelton and Callan or D. Valdez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to invite every one of you tomorrow morning to come down to the Capitol, or down to the basement, 7:15 till 8:45. Pastor Dan File is down there. We've got some long days ahead of us. Going to be a lot of friction, so it wouldn't hurt to get a little bit of the word put into you and help you get through the week.
Representative D. Valdez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's an honor to serve with you.
Honor to serve with you as well, Representative D. Valdez.
And it's an honor to be here with you, members, along with Representative Pelton. Tomorrow morning we'll be not only looking at the fundamental test of genuine faith. So those who are faith believers, please come and join us tomorrow morning. Yes, here at the Capitol in the basement. We'll see you bright and early. Hopefully see you there at 7:30 a.m.
Great. Representative D. Valdez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I do have another important announcement. This last Thursday, the ban on potatoes into Mexico they dropped the ban on potatoes coming into Mexico. So this helps out Colorado potato farmers and the San Luis Valley potato farmers, my family, my friends down in southern Colorado, to continue to export potatoes into Mexico. Why? Because the potatoes are nutritious, very nutritious. And I'll tell you one thing, Representative Neville, we like potatoes here in Colorado. Thank you.
Representative Catlin. And, yeah, Representative Catlin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's an honor to serve with you.
Honor to serve with you as well, Representative Catlin.
Thank you. Well, there were so many people down here talking about their favorite teachers and all. I just couldn't let today go by without saying to you that I live with my favorite teacher. My wife was a school teacher for a number of years until she decided to come with me. There are some definite advantages to living with the teacher, and there are also some definite disadvantages, because I'm taught an awful lot just how far out of bounds I am. And, once in a while she'll pat me on the head and say, that was a good one, dear guy. So anyway, thanks to her, I love her.
Representative Weissman.
Thank you and good morning, Mr. Speaker. While we're in the vein of giving thanks, and we may do something else later in the week, and I hope I'm not stepping on it too badly, but in the vein of giving credit where it's due, and I don't think you can do that kind of thing too often. This week is Legislative Staff Week. So this place and 49 other comparable places run because of folks like the good people sitting behind us, who are neither Democratic nor Republican, conservative nor progressive, red nor blue. They just care about functional government, and they are here early and they are here late. And a lot of the times when we have a question about how some rule works and we don't know the answer, we ask them, and they look it up in the decades of history compiled in ring binders back there. So I just want to say I appreciate the work that our chief clerk and the entire team behind us do, and everyone else here whose allegiance is not to party, but to really the whole state. So thank you.
Representative Ransom.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I have an announcement, folks. We have a day at the Capitol today. The Boulder County Republican women are here, and I think some of them are up there in the gallery. But and they're going to be working their way around the Capitol today, watching committees and watching us on the floor. But part of the group is somebody that I'm very excited is here. She has not been on the floor in more than 20 years, but she served in the House back in the 80s. And I want to ask you to help me welcome former Representative Mary Dobman. Stand up, please, Mary. Thanks, folks. And as I mentioned, she served back in the 80s. She served what was then House District 20. And it's so much fun to have her back here today watching us and joining in as we work on our bills today. So thanks so much, folks, and have a great Monday.
Thank you, Representative Ransom, and welcome. Representative Byrd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. If it's Monday, it's finance. So we'll be meeting today at 1:30, committee room 0112, and we will be hearing only one bill today, House Bill 1266.
Representative McCormick.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And also, if it's Monday, it's even more fun in agriculture, livestock, and water. We are also only hearing one bill, Senate Bill 21-136, room 107 at 1:30. Thank you.
Any further announcements or introductions? Seeing none. Majority Leader Escar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to lay over the third reading of bills until one day till tomorrow, May 4th.
Seeing no objection, the third reading of bills will be laid over one day till Tuesday, May 4th. That brings us to general order, second reading of bills. Representative Doherty. Representative Doherty. You have heard the motion. Seeing no objection, Representative Doherty will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. With your unanimous consent, the bills will be read by title unless there is a request for reading a bill at length. Committee reports are printed and in your bill folders. Floor amendments will be shown on the screen and on your iPads. Bills will be laid over upon motion of the majority leader. The coat rule is relaxed. Mr. Gregorio, please read the title of the Senate Bill 226.
Senate Bill 226 by Senator Moreno, also Representative McCluskey, concerning an increase in the general fund reserve.
Representative McCluskey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
It's an honor to serve with you.
I move Senate Bill 226 on second reading.
To the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is like the happy ending to the long bill budget story. Today, we are setting the general fund reserve amount based on the conference committee report that passed on Friday. We will be making a slight adjustment to the general fund reserve that you saw on the long bill, and with that, I move L001 and ask that it be properly displayed.
Say the amendment's been moved and wait for it to be displayed. There you go.
The amendment has been moved and is properly displayed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We are lowering the general fund reserve just a smidge because we took an additional $6 million for the long bill amendments that we discussed on Friday. I ask for an aye vote.
Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, the question is the adoption of Amendment L001. Representatives Sandridge, you need to be in the well. However, I will allow it this one time.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
It's an honor to serve with you.
And thank you for allowing me to speak because you really didn't have to. I appreciate that. So just to make sure about this amendment, can you refresh my memory on, you said for the bills or the supplements, or the amendments or whatever we discussed on Friday, all of them or just a few of them will this address? Thank you.
Representative McCluskey.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Representative Sandridge. After we completely balanced the long bill based on all of the amendments that came through here on the floor and in the Senate, once the conference committee report is passed, we balanced the reserve. We are moving from 13.53% down to 13.40%.
Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L001. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those in favor say no. The ayes have it. To the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to emphasize this is a very strong reserve, a great commitment to making sure that Colorado remains fiscally sound in the next few years as we come out of the pandemic and the economic crisis. I urge an aye vote on Senate Bill 226.
Representative Ransom.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I, too, would like to urge an aye vote on this bill. Folks, we have been talking about reserves actually for a few years now, but we've been talking about it extensively this session. And promises made, promises kept. We really wanted to increase the reserve to a much larger amount to where if there are issues with state finances in the future, that we will have some actual savings in place. The money is available and there, and to increase the reserves to this large of an amount is a very good step for our state. That being said, you can see we're with Amendment L001, we're at 13 4/10%. I know our goal was 15%. Wait till next year, we're hoping to get there. But for this year, this is a very satisfactory increase in what we've done, so I urge an aye vote on the bill.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 226. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those in favor say no. The ayes have it. House Bill 226 passes.
Get the majority leader.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over House Bill 1065 2 days until Wednesday, May 5th.
Seeing no objection, House Bill 1065 will be laid over. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to, at the bill sponsor's request, I move to lay over House Bill 1239 until Thursday, May 6th.
Seeing no objection, House Bill 1239 will be laid over. Mr. Gregorio, please read the title of the Senate Bill 008.
Senate Bill 8 by Senator Simpson, also Representatives Valdez D. and Holtorf, concerning removing the word junior from the name of certain colleges.
Thank you, Rep. Valdez D.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and it's an honor to serve with you.
It's an honor to serve with you.
I move Senate Bill 8 in the Education Committee report.
To the committee report.
This is a good bill, members. Not only did we add an amendment in here to take off Northeastern Junior College out of Senate Bill 8, we're making sure not only we heard from Northeastern Junior College because they want to keep junior on their name, and I respect that. We want to respect the needs, not only the facility, the education facility and institute, but also the community and the alumni. And with that, it's a good bill with Representative Holtorf.
Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Esteemed colleagues, I want to talk to the amendment a little bit and tell you how proud I am.
We're on the committee report.
Oh, to the committee report. So in the committee report, we did pass an amendment. Can I talk to the amendment or not?
We have to adopt the committee report, and then you can talk to the amendment. No.
Well, in the committee report, we had a very good committee hearing. I want to thank the leadership of the Education Committee. I want to thank them for their patience and understanding and being very pluralistic and understanding of the will and intent of the people that these colleges serve regionally within the state.
Thank you, Representative Holtorf. Any further discussion
On the bill or the?
on the committee report? Okay, seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those in favor, no. The ayes have it. To the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This particular bill, there were 3 junior colleges that there was a consideration of changing the name and dropping junior. In the southern part of the state, Trinidad State had already begun the process through their marketing. Also, Otero was very amiable and interested in the idea. We truly thought that all 3 colleges would be excited about the idea. There were very strong arguments and merits for the change. But through a series of stakeholder discussions, through a series of, at the recommendation of my co-prime here to my left, Representative Valdez, who said, you know, we need to listen to the will of the people. Let's request that they do a survey up at Northeastern Junior College of the student body, the faculty and staff, the alumni and community members. When that survey was completed, and I once again want to thank Representative Valdez, because as we talked about this and we went through the Zoom meetings, this was a really good idea. And I said, Don, that's a great idea. I think that's the direction to go. And that's leadership. So what we did is we went back and they did that survey. And what we found out with respect to Northeastern Junior College was 75 to 25 that student body, faculty and staff, and the alumni and community want to retain junior in that name. I want to also thank Jay Lee, the president, and also Chancellor Garcia, because nobody knew that there was that strong a sentiment. And when they saw that, they made a change to represent what? The will of the people. And I was very pleased with that. And thank you very much, and I'll be a yes.
Representative Valdez D.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, here we are at the well. How many members have attended a junior college? Excellent. I see a few hands out there. I have too. Haven't attended a college? I see multiple hands out there. I have too. How many have attended a university? I see multiple hands out there too. I did too. Well, I've attended a junior college, a college, and a university. I've attended Trinidad State Junior College and Adams State College and Adams State University. You know, and with this bill, not only listening and meeting with presidents of the facility, of the colleges and of the junior college and in the universities, we have to work together. We have to make sure that higher education is a priority. We have to educate individuals, but also educate them on the curriculums of the college or university. Those who are going for vocational trades also. We want to make sure that they're getting the right information at the door, and education, more importantly, when they leave that door. So with that, I ask for your support on Senate Bill 8. Thank you.
Representative Pelton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I want to thank the bill sponsors for that amendment. I did go to 1 year of diesel mechanics in Sterling at NJC, and I think it's appropriate. The people don't want the change, so I'm glad it's not being forced down their throat, and I appreciate the sponsors for that. And with that, I am a yes on this vote, or on this bill now.
Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 008. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those in favor say no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 008 passes. Mr. Guerrero, please read the title to Senate Bill 198.
Senate Bill 198 by Senators Smallwood and Rodriguez, also Representatives Roberts and Bockenfeld, concerning the repeal of a requirement that the state auditor annually report use of state education fund money for school capital construction to certain committees of the General Assembly.
Representative Bockenfeld.
It's an honor to serve with you, Madam Chair.
It's an honor to serve with you.
I'd like to move Senate Bill 21-198, and there's no committee report.
To the bill.
Thank you. Folks, I consider this bill a government efficiency bill. It came out of the Legislative Audit Committee. It's concerning the repeal of a requirement that the state auditor annually report uses of state educational fund money for school capital construction to certain committees in the General Assembly. This requirement was placed into statute in 2002. At that time, the state education funds were being expended for the school district's capital constructions projects. In 2008, the Building Excellent Schools Today Act, the BEST Act, was established, and the Public School Capital Construction Assistance Program, creating a different mechanism to fund capital construction projects for the school districts. As a result, the required annual report now covers only charter schools who have capital construction projects of approximately $20 million. We have confirmed with the chairs, the Legislative Audit Committee, has confirmed with the chairs of the Senate and House Education Committee and the education analyst for the Joint Budget Committee that the annual reports are no longer being used. So I ask for an aye vote for this bill to repeal this requirement.
Any further discussion?
Good job.
Seeing none, the question before this is the passage of Senate Bill 198. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 198 passes. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think we know that Representative Neville is here today. I move to lay over House Bill 1251 until Wednesday, May 5th.
Thank you, Madam Majority Leader. House Bill 1251. Seeing no objections, House Bill 1251 is laid over. Thank you. Mr. Gregorio, please read the title to Senate Bill 17.
Senate Bill 17 by Senators Heisey and Zenzinger, also Representatives Larson and Bradfield, concerning sexual contact between a student and an educator in violation of the public trust.
Representative Larson.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 17 and the Judiciary Committee report.
To the committee report.
Go ahead.
Representative Larson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, in committee, we did adopt an amendment, and thank you to the chair of the Judiciary Committee for working with me on this. It changes the nature of the bill a little bit. Before, as the bill came to us from the Senate, it did carry a misdemeanor penalty, and after collaboration with many members of the Judiciary Committee, we decided to change the nature of the bill so it no longer carries a criminal penalty. However, does provide for some kind of portable, identifiable record to prevent venue shopping by teachers that may have, or frankly, educators that may have engaged in this kind of behavior, are dismissed from a school, and now there will be some kind of trail to ensure that their next potential employer would know that such behavior did take place at the school and kind of prevent that behavior from going on. So that is the amendment that was adopted in the Judiciary Committee, and I would ask for a yes vote on the committee report.
Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, the Representative Holtorf.
Trust me.
No further discussion on the committee report. Okay. Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the committee report. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. To the bill.
We got to gavel and say the committee report. Okay. Gavel. Committee report is adopted.
Committee report is adopted. To the bill. Representative Bradfield.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It is unfortunate that the impetus for this bill was an event in El Paso County. This event began when a person of trust, and that would be an educator, in a school had a sexual encounter with a female of the age of 18, so therefore an adult, but this was without consent, so we felt like this needed to have some consequences, and hence Senate Bill 21-017. To you.
Representative Larson.
Yes. And thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you to my co-prime for carrying this. So, this bill was before us last year. Actually, it didn't make it over to this chamber. It did pass the Senate, died on COVID. And it was in regards to a specific situation that did take place down in now Representative Bradfield's district, as well as Senator Heisey's district. And there is kind of this loophole in the law right now. There are obviously laws against a teacher and a student engaging in a sexual relationship if the student is under the age of 18. However, in high school, there are a few instances where there is a student in public education who is of the age of 18 and engaging in a sexual relationship with their superior. And, frankly, I think just because of the power dynamic involved, because of the compulsory nature of K through 12 education in this state, that's simply not appropriate. And frankly, I don't think it is a situation where consent can exist. Went to judiciary and we discussed this bill at length. And there were many differing viewpoints on this, but everybody was of the agreement that this is not acceptable behavior, and we wanted to make sure that we're protecting students from this happening at their school, but more importantly, that we're stopping people that engage in this habitually from being able to go from school to school with impunity. So I appreciate the compromise language that we were able to work out on this bill. Admittedly, it was not what I would have preferred. However, that means that is a good compromise because no one is happy, but it is something that we can live with. And the important thing is that this does create a paper trail to make sure that we are not going to have people going from school to school to school engaging in this behavior. So I would ask for an aye vote.
Representative Benavides.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I voted against this bill in committee because I think it goes a bit far. We are talking about students who are 18 years or older. And as we move to 5-year and 6-year high school in order for students to take advantage of dual enrollment in college, we're going to have a lot more young people over 18. And we can have teachers that are as young as 22. So this is talking about sexual conduct, which includes putting your arm around somebody, in a romantic sexual manner, but putting your arm around them. That qualifies as the conduct in here. And it doesn't matter whether there's consent or not. We had some discussion about 18-year-olds not having their brains fully developed. Well, members, we have people who are well under 18 who are having sex and engaging in activity that we do not criminalize. If you have two 17-year-olds, a 16-year-old, an 18-year-old, and they consent, that is a defense. This goes a little too far. There is one thing that I fully support that they put into the amendment, which was a strike below, which was to allow the State Board of Education to promulgate rules on unethical behavior and conduct, including conduct involving a sexual act, and ultimately, what are the consequences? That doesn't exist right now. So I would say that would be a starting point, so everybody's on the same page. In the situation that occurred, I don't know if the person consented or not, but charges weren't brought, so I'm sure that was a defense of consent. I think we as a legislature really need to look at the rights and abilities of young people, because someone 18 years old can go out and enter into a contract, they can rent an apartment, they can buy a car, and we don't say, oh, you were 18, sorry. We give them, we have, for contracts, we say, because you're a minor, under 21, you have a time to revoke that. But we set the time to do that. We put parameters around it. We don't just say because you're 18 or 19 or 20, because this is students who are over 18, that's a pass, even if you consent. So members, I just want to make it clear, I think this goes further than we really want, and I oppose the bill and urge a no vote.
Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Esteemed colleagues, I'm in great support of this bill and what it does, and quite honestly, I don't know if it goes far enough. Now I'm going to talk to this. It has nothing to do with age. Your age is not the issue. Now I'm going to use a military example in my military context, having served many years in the military, within recruiting command in our military services. And we know that a recruiter is in a position of trust. A recruiter out in our communities trying to encourage young people, our sons and daughters, to join in military service to defend the United States Constitution. That person is in a position of trust. They may be talking to a young 17-year-old or 18-year-old or 20-year-old or 25-year-old. The age is irrelevant. The point is, the fact that that recruiter is in a position of trust does not allow him or her to engage in promiscuity or mistrust by trying to have a relationship with that prospective recruitee. It's not okay. It's not even okay if the young person wants to solicit a relationship, because that person is now out of bounds, and the person in majority should say, young lady or young man, let me tell you our modicum of behavior. Let me tell you what is okay and is not okay. So it's not about age. Now, being the father of 5 daughters, I will tell you, it's not okay for a person of trust, especially a teacher in high school, or maybe your daughter or son is an accelerated student and they're 17 and attending a college, perhaps a junior college, perhaps Northeastern Junior College. It's not okay for that associate professor or that instructor to conduct him or herself in that way. It's not okay. And I believe this bill speaks to that. I don't think it goes far enough, but it's not my opinion. I don't sit on the Judiciary Committee. I just sit in this chamber on second and thirds. But ladies and gentlemen, this is good legislation. And I will tell you that many of these behaviors are transitory. Well, what does that mean there, Cowpoke? A lot of these people will move around from city to city, community to community, town to town. They start to get in trouble, well, they'll go somewhere else. But guess what? Those behaviors oftentimes repeat themselves unless corrected. This, ladies and gentlemen, this legislation sends a clear message. It's not okay. You're in a position of trust, and you have to behave yourself, and you have to encourage our young people to also behave themselves. I'm in strong support of this, being the father of 5 daughters, and I hope no young person has to fall victim to the predatory nature that occurs in our society. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for your attention, esteemed colleagues. Thank you, Representative Malika, for sitting down and talking with me about this and how we so much agree, because we have children that need this type of legislation to protect them.
Representative Soper.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and it's an honor to serve with you.
It's an honor to serve with you.
So I have a couple of questions for the bill sponsors. So I noticed in the engrossed version, or the corrected engrossed version, and the committee report, there are some slight differences, and I just wanted to make sure that I'm reading this correctly, that there's no longer Title 18 provisions within the bill, I guess would be the first question. And then the follow-up question to that would be that you had a spousal exception that was included, and I don't see anything about that in your strike below amendment that was adopted, and whether or not that is true.
Representative Larson.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the question. So to Title 18, and I don't want to speak out of turn not being an attorney, I'm assuming Title 18 is the criminal statutes? Yes, so yes, correct. There are no longer any criminal penalties here. So that's why that was removed, and perhaps Representative Weissman might be able to elucidate. But because there's no longer a criminal element to this, all of the Title 18 components would have come out, as well as the marital exemption, which was added in the Senate. That has also been removed because there's no longer a criminal element.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 17. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 17 passes. Mr. Gregorio, please read Senate Bill 160.
Senate Bill 160 by Senator Gardner, also Representative Snyder, concerning certain administrative clarifications to local government election codes.
Representative Snyder.
Madam Chair, I just want to say what a great pleasure it is to work with you.
And also with you.
Thank you. And with that, I move Senate Bill 160.
To the bill.
Okay, folks, so this is actually a pretty modest bill. It just does a lot of technical cleanup to the special election code, special district election code, brings them aligned with other sections of the code, clarifies what a covered voter is for absentee voters, for contract purchasers when they are able to vote in a special election. The most substantive portion of this is down in Section 12. You know, there are some pretty large districts in rural parts of Colorado with maybe only have 1 or 2 population centers. So this allows for a geographic division of that district so that those in the most rural areas can be assured of having some equal representation on the board. So it really is just a technical cleanup, and it's a good bill, and I ask for a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Hanks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Going through committee, I was the single no vote on this. I found it a little convoluted. I found the timing on it probably inopportune as well. I think we're going to end up having a lot of work done on our election processes, and I'm not comfortable with where we are on this one with regard to timing. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 160. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. No. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 160 passes. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over Senate Bill 188 one day until tomorrow, May 4th.
Seeing no objection, Senate Bill 188 will be laid over. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that the committee rise and report.
You have heard the motion. Seeing no objection, the committee will rise and report.
The House will come to order. Mr. Gregorio, please read the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Mr. Speaker, Committee of the Whole begs leave to report is under consideration the following attached bills being second reading thereof, makes the following recommendations thereon. Senate Bill 8 as amended, Senate Bill 17 as amended, Senate Bill 160, Senate Bill 198, Senate Bill 226 as amended, passed on second reading in order to revise and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 188 laid over until 5/4/2021 and retained their place on the calendar. House Bill 1065, House Bill 1251 laid over until 5/5/2021 and retaining their place on their calendar. House Bill 1239 laid over until 5/6/2021 and retaining their place on the calendar.
Representative Doherty. You have heard the motion. There are no amendments of the desk. The question before us is the adoption of the report of the Committee of the Whole. Mr. Gregorio, please open the machine and members, please proceed to vote. Representative Ricks, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Ricks votes yes. Please close the machine. With 40 aye votes, 23 no votes, and 2 excused, the report of the Committee of the Whole is adopted. That brings us to consideration of resolutions. Mr. Gregorio, please read the title of the House Joint Resolution 1007.
HJR 21-10007 by Representatives Michelson Janae, also Senator Smallwood, concerning the appointment of Carrie L. Hunter to the position of State Auditor.
Representative Michelson Janae.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move House Joint Resolution 1007 and ask that it be read at length.
Whereas Section 49 of Article 5 of the Colorado Constitution provides for the appointment by a majority of the members serving in each house of the General Assembly of a state auditor to serve for a term of 5 years. And whereas among the functions of the Legislative Audit Committee is the examination of persons applying for the position of state auditor as to qualifications and ability, and after consultation with the Executive Committee to place the name of a qualified candidate in nomination before the General Assembly for the position of state auditor. And whereas the Legislative Audit Committee conducted a national search to select a qualified candidate for the term commencing July 1, 2021 and ending June 30th, 2026. And whereas on April 1st, 2021, the Legislative Audit Committee voted to submit the name of Carrie L. Hunter to the 73rd General Assembly pursuant to Section 2-3-101, 3(a), Colorado Revised Statutes for the position of State Auditor. And whereas Carrie L. Hunter is a certified public accountant licensed to practice in the state of Colorado as required by Section 49 of Article 5 of the Colorado Constitution and is widely recognized for her expertise and leadership in the field of government auditing. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the House of Representatives of the 73rd General Assembly of the State of Colorado, the Senate concurring herein, that Carrie L. Hunter be appointed by the General Assembly to the position of State Auditor for a term commencing July 1, 2021 and ending June 30th, 2026, and until a qualified successor is appointed.
Representative Michelson Janae.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I don't know how well aware you are of the Legislative Audit Committee, but we are your representatives from the House. It is a fully bipartisan committee, and we have been under the leadership of Diane Ray